All right, so this is Dr. Ben Benulis. I'm here with Dr. Nathan Gershfeld, and he's got some exciting news about a new clinic that he's launching. And so it's called Fasting Retreats, if I'm not mistaken, in Southern California. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Thanks, Dr. Benulis. It's great to be here. Yeah, so the Fasting Escape Retreats is a place where people can come and relax and rejuvenate and get healthy. So in about 2003, a doctor by the name of Dr. Marlene Schwartz published a study from Yale. And the study was about health bias in physicians. And it turns out that according to the study, health professionals, when they see somebody who's unhealthy or overweight, they associate the stereotypes of lazy, stupid, and worthless. Okay? Absolutely incorrect when it comes to the scientific literature that people who are unhealthy are not unhealthy because of character flaws. They're unhealthy because we live in an environment that has tons of processed foods, tons of unhealthy actions, and tons of unhealthy thoughts. And so rather than judging a person for being unhealthy because of things that are outside of their control, which is mainly that we're designed by nature to eat foods that have a lot of calories in them. We're designed by nature to conserve energy. And when we fall into these traps in the modern world, then we can get a lot of unhealthy problems. Things like high blood pressure, we can get tired, we get sleep deprived, we can gain weight from eating too many calorically dense foods. And so the Fast and Escape Retreats was born out of this idea that people can come and they rest and relax and get some healthy food in them. They do some fasting so they can reset their taste buds. And this allows them to gain some momentum so that they can start to live a healthy lifestyle at home. Because the big problem with the modern environment is that anywhere you go, you're going to be exposed to unhealthy foods and unhealthy actions. And so even if you know that the right move is not to do those things, it can be an extreme amount of struggle to not do them. In fact, I actually believe that it's so unfair that almost nobody who's trying this, almost nobody will actually succeed. It's such a devastating struggle in the modern world. And so the only way that we can really catch this problem is to take a break from this modern world and just get some momentum under a belt. And so if you've been struggling for years of trying not to eat the junk food or trying not to eat the unhealthy foods or trying really hard to go to bed on time and just have a relaxing environment, and even if you go on vacation, you go to a cruise, you go on some vacation, they've got buffets everywhere. That's not a vacation, that's an indulgence feast. And so you might get some rest and some sleep in the middle of it, but you're sure as heck not going to get some healthy food in it. Well, why not try both? Why not get some rest and relaxation and some healthy food and give your body a chance to rest and relax? And now you come home after 10 days or a week and a half or a couple of weeks of good, healthy living under your belt. Well, all of a sudden it's a lot easier to maintain that and continue that because energy has a lot to do with this and fasting has a lot to do with this. And once we recalibrate our bodies and tone up our nervous system, it becomes a lot easier. This is like a slipped gear. Okay, you've got a gear that's been turning and it's turning and it's turning and just can't quite catch. Well, an escape retreat, a little fasting retreat, what it does is it allows the gear to catch, and now you can be in congruence with what you understand about health and start to live healthier.
Okay, well, definitely have a lot of people who, watch the channel or on the email list, understand about healthy eating, understand about, plant-based diet and stuff like that, but still struggle. So it sounds like this is something that could really help them get themselves on the right path and stay on the right path. Is that right?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things we have to realize is you're designed by nature to seek the most amount of calories in your environment. You pick up subconscious cues. And so it's no different that if I took a glass of water and I threw it and I pretended to throw it in your face, you would react immediately. Okay, this is an instinct. You don't have a choice in this. And if someone faked you out and actually didn't have water in it, you'd still react. Okay, and so this is our instincts. And so in the same way, whenever you have high calorie foods in your environment, you're designed by nature to pick up on those cues. And when you're picking up on those cues, it can be almost impossible to be around this food and not eat it. Okay, it's going to sneak in, it's going to slip in, the cravings are going to get there, and it's only a matter of time before someone's now, they've been on a healthy program, and then all of a sudden a little chip here, a little piece of, vegan cupcake there, and by the time they know it, you're kind of back into where you were again. What we have to do is slam on the brakes here. We slam on the brakes and put the car in reverse, and what we do is we back it up by doing a short fast and a short break from all those foods, and we just start from that beginning. Okay, because this is a tough thing to do. Unless we live in a jungle, unless we live at a place where all the food is made for us, it's going to be really impossible. I want you to imagine what would happen if someone was trying to quit smoking cigarettes or trying to quit alcohol, and they were hanging around in bars all the time. Okay, and they were hanging around in places where they're smoking all the time. Yeah, theoretically, we might have enough willpower to muster, an hour or two away from a cigarette or some drink, but everybody's human. There's nobody that's perfect out there that can withstand for long enough. And so the thing with alcohol is we tell them stay away from alcohol, stay away from bars until you've gone so long that it's just not even tempting. Well, the same thing's true with healthy food. Is you got to get away from the unhealthy food and do that long enough so that you can get some momentum.
So besides losing weight and feeling better, can people expect to actually overcome disease conditions and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. In 2003, there was Dr. Alan Goldhammer of the True North Health Center, my mentor. They published a study of a couple of maybe 12 years of data from their center. And it showed that high blood pressure, one of the most significant indicators of all-cause mortality, meaning death from anything, they could figure out that if you have high blood pressure, you have a higher risk of dying from anything than if you do of dying from anything else. And they found that with water fasting, you can actually affect high blood pressure and higher than medications. So the average medication drop for blood pressure is about 12 points on the systolic and 6 points on the diastolic. Well, it turns out with fasting, you can do it double that. 24 out of 12 points, 25 points on the systolic and 13 points on the diastolic. And so it's cheaper, it's less risky, much more effective. And so blood pressure is just one of those things. People who deal with inflammation, arthritis, joint pain, if a period of rest for your gut can actually give your body enough chance to recover itself and decrease some of that inflammation in your body. Another thing that really helps besides weight loss is taste adaptation. So you might be healthy, you might have a few little problems here and there, but it might be a real struggle to get actually the healthy food in, because if you're used to eating food that's very stimulating, something like brown rice or steamed broccoli or raw carrots cannot be very exciting. Well, you put your body under a period of deprivation where you're fasting for a few days. Now all of a sudden your taste buds are much more sensitive, and so healthy food will actually begin to taste good, and so it's much more sustainable this way. Type 2 diabetes, phenomenal result of type 2 diabetes. It turns out that when we eat healthy foods and we stay away from the unhealthy foods, then your body can recover. The point is your body can recover from almost everything given the right conditions. And so what fasting does is we simply set up those right conditions, which is let the body do the rest of the work, which is heal itself. We don't do anything as doctors. We don't do very much as doctors except for educate and set up the right conditions. The body does the best work it can, and that's the whole point. If you cut your hand, nobody can heal that cut faster than your body can heal itself. Okay? Nothing you can put on there is going to make it heal faster, but you can do things that make it heal slower. You can rub your hand on sandpaper. You can put some dirt in there. You can get sleep deprived. You can put a bunch of other bacteria on there and it'll help it heal slower. But the only way to make it heal faster, if you've done all that, is to actually remove those things. And that's when your body starts to heal at an optimal level. And so what fasting does is we allow your body to heal at an optimal level by removing things that are affecting it.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you can the body can heal itself given the proper conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
typically, how long are people staying to do a fast, or is everybody fasting at your center, or some people just staying and eating? How long are the stays and what do they contain?
Yeah, it's a fasting center. So what people want to do if they want to figure out it's all about individual needs. So some people can fast for 5 days and some people will want to fast a little bit longer. So, 2-3 weeks, depending on their condition. And it's highly dependent on what the individual needs are. And so at the center, what we do is people come in, they eat healthy food for about a day or two, and then they start the water fast. about 5 or 6 days, longer if necessary, and then we refeed as we gradually reintroduce food into their bodies. And so the programs will start at about 10 days, and then I have a couple of people that are booked now who are going to be doing a longer fast, about 10 to 15 days, but that's highly independent. So what people can do is visit my website at fastingescape.com and schedule a free phone consult with me, and then we can figure out what your individual needs are and see how long we need to do a fast for. Because fasting is right for many people, but there are some indications where we may just want to eat the food, and at which point we just do that at home. And then when we do the fast, we come to the fasting center and we can do that there.
Okay. Okay. And so when is your center opening?
We are opening July 6th. And so it's about a month from now. We're opening Friday. And so we're already booked up. We got about one more space left for that first 10 days. And then we've got a few more spots for the rest of July after that.
Okay, exciting. So that's right around the corner. So
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to ask you about is you have your own personal story with fasting. Before you were a doctor, you were a patient, right? And
Mhm.
I've heard a little bit about it from other people, but I would love to hear, the full story from you because I think you were a pretty young guy too at the time.
Sure. Yeah, so I was 20 years old. I was in school to be an electrical engineer, and I was just getting ready to graduate. And my mom found a lump in my neck, and so being the diligent son that I was, I totally ignored her.
Can I
And
stop you
I
for a
decided,
second? You're an
yeah,
electrical engineer?
yes.
Okay, I'm a mechanical engineer. That's too funny. I didn't know.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, mechanical engineering is a little harder, so you're a little smarter than I am. But
Oh,
that's
I would think it's the other way around. But anyway, your
those
mom found
mechanical
a
engineering
lump in your
classes
throat.
are,
How did
yeah.
that, why was your mom touching your neck or how'd that happen?
Well, she wasn't touching it. She's very astute, typical Jewish mother. So she's looking at my neck. She goes, "What's that in your neck?" And I thought, I had been hanging out with friends like the night before, like this. We were playing some poker or something like that, playing some card games, and I thought it was just muscles. I didn't know anything about anatomy, but I just thought it was just my neck muscles that got or got into a little ball. So I ignored her for a good 8-9 months, as I was, this was my final year in school, so I really didn't want to be distracted. So finally, with she wore me down. I went to the doctor. They found out it's a tumor, and the doctor was very medically oriented. He really didn't want to hear anything I had to ask him about health and wellness, because my big question to him was, okay, let's assume it is what you think it is. What's the cause? If we don't know the cause and you want to cut it out or give me chemo, or if we don't know if it's cancerous or not, if we don't know the cause, then won't it just come back somewhere else in the body? Won't it just come back in the same place? And he goes, "Oh, no, it's not going to come back. So we're going to cut out your whole thyroid. So there's no way it can grow on your thyroid again when you don't have thyroid." Well, I didn't want my organs getting cut out of me. And so I started like thinking about ways to get healthy. My grandmother was a chiropractor, and so she was constantly talking about healthy food and living and all these things. And so I tried a lot of different things. There was every cleanse and every supplement and everything that I could think of. I tried to look at, and if it could convince me that I could get healthy, then I would try it. I spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and it turns out 4 months later, my tumor doubled in size. So
Wow.
I hadn't changed my diet other than trying a little bit of raw food here and there, but I was scared to death. So I doubled down. I threw away all my systems and all the colon cleanses and all the rest of the stuff that I had tried. And I just started focusing on diet. At the same time, I got lucky enough to connect with Dr. Goldhammer, and I went up to True North and did a fast. I was trying to do a 30-day fast, but I wimped out because I couldn't handle it. And about day 4.5, I snuck into their kitchen and ate an apple to try to break my fast because of how miserable I was. But it turns out that was enough, because my tumor actually shrank about 50% to its original level. So it had doubled its size, but then it actually shrank to 50% of its original level. My Hashimoto's disease, which was an autoimmune condition of the thyroid, which was present there, that reversed as well. It
Four and a
reversed.
half day fast.
4.5 day fast, and then 3 months of good healthy eating after that, and then a follow-up
Okay.
blood test. Yeah. So yeah, that reversed. I had hypothyroidism along with that, and that reversed as well. And so apparently that was enough. And the key for me is I really wasn't that in tune with my body. And so to me, the symptoms really didn't mean much. I never paid attention to my body before that point. So it's hard for me to say, oh, I felt better after eating healthy. But what I did notice was I was constantly struggling not to eat junk food. Like if you put chips anywhere near me before that fast, I just had to have them. In fact, when I was driving up to True North Health Center on the way, I was like telling myself, don't stop by for gas, try to push in, because if you see chips in the gas station, you're going to get them. Well, I barely made it. Actually, I didn't make it to True North. I had to stop by for gas, and I was like really good. I was trying to get to the checkout line just to pay for the gas, and of course the pump wasn't working. The pump machine wasn't working, so I had to go inside. And of course there was a line of 4 people. And of course, the really bad chips, the ones with cheese and dairy and all that stuff, were right there. So I thought, okay, good. At least I can say that it's bad for me, so I won't eat it. But then the kicker was, I see this big bag of Ruffles potato chips, and the kicker that caused me to just get them was that it said made with sea salt. Then it was like, oh great, at least they're healthy enough. So I ended up eating this whole bag of potato chips on the way right before my fast. I felt horrible. But what happened after the fast was, all of a sudden, much easier. I didn't have any cravings of any unhealthy food for a good 9 months, 6 months. And that enabled me to eat an incredibly healthy diet for six to 9 months after that. And then it just little things started sneaking again because I was just in the environment. But the point was, it was just an incredible turning point with regards to my health.
Sure. So when you say it was easier to eat healthy food and easier to avoid unhealthy food, like when you were eating just simple fruits and vegetables and, unseasoned, unsalted things, they just tasted great on their own without even thinking about it.
Incredible. Carrots tasted sweet. Swiss chard, when it was steamed, tasted like someone had put a bunch of spices and salty things in there. So I could eat 2 baked potatoes, 1 yam, a whole bunch of Swiss chard, and some other steamed vegetables, and it was like an incredible feast for me. I loved it. Whereas before, I didn't even know how to steam a piece of broccoli. I would just put it in boiling water, add a bunch of salt, and just that it tasted horrible because it was too salty and flavorless. So big huge turning point.
Awesome. So just to go over it again, where can people find out more about the Fasting Center and get a hold of you?
You can visit www.fastingescape.com and just poke around through the website. There's a little website tour and a program overview. There's a pricing and accommodations. And then if you're thinking that you might want to do this, you can schedule a phone consult with me. My phone number is on the website. My email's on the website. And if you want to schedule it, there's a little scheduling program that you can put a number there. But if you don't know how to use that program, or if it doesn't show up, just give me a call and we can talk about your individual needs.
All right, excellent. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up here?
Uh, what I want to say is that people struggle quite a bit when they're trying to eat healthy. And in my practice and in my own experience, I've seen that they like to beat themselves up. And they assume that the reason they can't get healthy is due to character flaws. And what I want to tell you is this is not true. Okay? People have struggles with health because it's an unfair fight. Okay? You have every food scientist in the world is trying to figure out how to best get to your dopamine circuitry in your brain. Okay? We don't blame a dog when it barks at a cat. We don't blame an alcoholic when they hang around bars and the alcohol slips in. And so we shouldn't blame ourselves if we're trying really hard to eat healthy and unhealthy food sneaks in and it exacerbates to a point where you get severe problems and diagnoses like diabetes, overweight, high blood pressure, and things like that. And so what I want to say is that this is one of the most difficult things people can do, is to struggle with their health in the modern world. And the fasting is a wonderful way to start to get a hold of this and to gain some momentum.
All right, awesome. Dr. Gershfeld, thanks for coming on, and excited to see what happens, and excited to send some people your way and see some people get well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Banuelos. I really appreciate you promoting this and spreading the word out. People really need to fast and really appreciate it.
Sure thing.